In this video, I will explain how to run FFmpeg commands in Make using Rendi. Rendi is an FFmpeg API which allows you to automate your video generation and processing online without running your own servers or cloud infrastructure or anything. It also allows you to serve the output files you've generated with FFmpeg and use them for whatever you need. Either it's showing to people, putting it in your app, or using it as another input file for another FFmpeg command. Commands can sometimes take a while to run because they're heavy on video processing. So in this video, we will cover how to run FFmpeg commands with Rendi, how to get their results, how to get their output files. We will show how to use a webhook endpoint in Make and configure it with Rendi in order to get notified when commands are finished processing. And we will show how to delete files from Rendi, generated files, once you have done using them, once you don't need them anymore. Now we will make a scenario where we listen to a folder in Google Drive, and when there is a new video file inside of it, we will run an FFmpeg command with Rendi over that file and save the output to a Google Sheet where we will store the URL of the output file. So the first thing to do is create a scenario. And here I want to be monitoring a Google Drive folder. So we'll look for Drive, and then I want to watch. Let's do Drive, and I want to watch folder. Now I want to watch files in a folder. And now I've already connected my Google Drive before, so I have the connection set up. Now I need to pick the folder that I want to be listening to for additional files being added. So this is the listening files folder in my demo folder. I will put the limit to 1. I just want 1 file each time, and I'll save it. And choose where to start, when to start from now on. On top of that, I'm going to add, again from Google Drive, I want the file to be publicly accessible so that Rendi could download it. So I need to make it publicly accessible. And luckily there is a make action for Google Drive that allows me to do that, which is get a share link. And I need here to specify the file ID from my previous action here. File ID. And the role is reader role. And the type, I want it to be anyone. The type, making the type anyone makes it so that the file is accessible publicly to everybody. And that's it. Now the next thing to do is to add the integration to Rendi. So I will search for Rendi here. And I want to run an FFmpeg command. So this is what I'm going to do. Now I need to create a connection. In order to do that, in the Rendi dashboard, here it is here. This is the main UI, main dashboard. You have the API key, which you can copy. And you can paste it here in the API key field. And we've created the Rendi command. Now it asks us for the FFmpeg command we want to run, as well as the input and output files. So in order to make our life easy, what I can do is to use the sample command that can also be found in the dashboard. We'll get to the input and output soon. I'll first start from the command itself. So this command, basically what it does is it gets an input video, and it trims out from the 0 second to the minute 1, and it turns that video into a GIF. So I'm going to copy this command, and I'm going to paste it into Make. And you're going to notice a few things happening straight away. So we have the in one and out one fields here somehow created. These are the Rendi placeholders. If you look at the original dashboard, the original command, they are with curly brackets. And Make changed that. So actually curly brackets and Make are reserved characters. So we can't just use them. Okay. So the way to achieve that here is to delete this and instead add backslashes with curly brackets. And I want to, you know what, I want to show you for a second what happens if you don't add the backslashes. So if I just want to add the curly bracket, and I'll start 1, 2, 3, 4, it disappears. This is because the curly brackets are special characters in Make, which they actually also use for placeholders, just like Rendi uses them for placeholders. So in order to fix that, we're using the backslash before each of the curly brackets. And inside, we're going to write in 1, like it was in the sample command, in 1. And again, we'll do the same thing for the output placeholder. I'm going to use the curly brackets and write out 1. Now, the reason we're using placeholders to begin with and not just the file names is because Rendi needs to know where to get the files from and where to put them, or more correctly, what file name to give when it creates the output. So the in1 is a placeholder for the file that we'll get from Google Drive, and the out1 is the placeholder for the file name that we will want. So in the input files field, I'm going to add an item. The key of the item will be the key of the placeholder, which is input1, in1, and the value is going to be the location of that item. Now, basically the location we're going to use is coming from Google Drive because it's the shared link in Google Drive. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add the, where is it? The web content link from the Drive shareable link module. And the output file, that's the name of the output file we're going to use. And in the sample command, I think the output was out1.gif, so we're going to use the same. Out1, and this is the name. Now we're going to continue constructing the entire scenario and then we'll run it end to end. But you can, afterwards, you can scroll back and look at the different configuration and try yourself and running specific modules yourself. The next thing to do is this command is going to run maybe for a while. In this case, it's about 10 seconds, 15 seconds. And after it's finished, by the way, we can also see it on the dashboard. After the command runs, it gives us a command ID, which then the command runs for a while. And then the next tab here is the poll command, is where we can check the status of the command and get the result when it's done. So now this command finished, it's on status success. And this took about 9 seconds to run this time. So we actually need to wait at least 10 seconds until the command is finalized so that we could get the output file, which is stored here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a sleep module of about 15 seconds. Save. And then I want to poll for the result. So again, I'm going to run on Rendi FFmpeg API action, but this time instead of run FFmpeg command, I'm going to be running make an API call. And this API call is the same that we see also in the dashboard. In this tab, the poll command is actually this thing. It's a get request, get HTTP request to API Rendi dev / version 1 commands and the command ID. And in order to make it work in make, what I need to do is just copy this part and add the command ID that I will get when I'm running my FFmpeg command. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to add this. I need to add a / in the beginning, so I'm adding that part. Okay. And in the end, what I will want to do is I will want to get the command ID from Rendi. And this is it. Next thing in line is I want to store my output file, the URL of the output file, in a Google Sheet. So I already have a Google Sheet prepared. It's empty, but it has a header, Rendi storage URL here. That's the header, and I want to fill up these lines below. And the way to do that is this. I'm going to add here another module, which is a Google Sheet module. I'm going to add a row. I already have a connection to my Google Sheets in Make. You can do the same with yours. I'm going to search for the path, search method. Yeah, that's fine. Spreadsheet ID. And here I need to pick my file. So my file is in demo, and the file is Rendi generated. Nice. Now it asks me what sheet. I have just one. Does the table contain header? Yes. The first line there is a header. And here in the storage URL, I will want to put the output from the polling endpoint. It's going to be inside of the body. In a minute, I'm going to show you how to get to it. But for now, I'm going to put just the body field here. I'm going to press save. Now, this is a really basic scenario, which is already set up. Let's try to run it. It's not going to work fully yet because we haven't configured this last section, but it's good enough for us in order to make it work. So I'm going to press run once. And it already did something. Now, this is an issue with Make. When you're pressing run once and it's listening to Google Drive, it's always going to return something, even if nothing happened and the folder is empty. So the way to handle this is you just go to your folder. I just go to my folder, and I'm gonna upload a video. So I have a sample video here. I'm gonna upload it here. While it's uploading, that sample video which I just took, it's actually taken again from the dashboard, from the sample in the dashboard. If you go here to Send Command tab, you will see that the in file, this is that same sample file, which is accessible publicly also, so you can always use that for your demos if you need. And I can download this file. I already have a few stored, so it's increasing the count of the file. Now, let's see if it finished uploading. It finished, and I can press run once here, and my scenario is starting to run, and here is actually where I have ran my FFmpeg command. Now, actually, this command is gonna break. It's not gonna work correctly, and I will show you why in a second. Let's see it finishing here. Okay, so we have here the polling endpoint, which gets the result of the command, and if we open the body part, if we open the body, we see FFmpeg run error, FFmpeg command. And we have the error initializing filter select and valid argument. So actually, when I copied the sample command, I missed something. And the thing is this. When in the sample command, this is a regular JSON, regular JSON. And in JSON, you can't put a backslash. It won't work. So you gotta put a double backslash in order for the client to understand how we have just a regular backslash here inside of the JSON. Now, in Make, we're not really using a JSON for this command. It's just a regular string. It's text. So we don't need that double backslash, and this is actually what's breaking our command. So I'm going to save that, and I'm going to delete this file here, and we're going to do the process again. Okay, the upload is finished, and we're gonna run again. Well, let's see. For now, the command is running, and we're waiting for the polling. So let's see in the meantime how the command looks like. And now it looks fine, and I think it will finalize okay. In the meantime, let's look at the fields. We have the input files, which is our drive folder, our drive file. By the way, let's look at this file. Drive can't scan, but we can download it anyway. And there we go. And let's see, the polling finished. So let's see what's the status here. So we are in status success. The FFmpeg command finished. It took 11 seconds to process. And here we have the output files. And this is output 1, the key that we have created, that we have defined before. And this is the output. The storage URL points to our output URL. And if I put it here, you will see the GIF generated. Now, what I want to do is the module that saves in the Google Sheet, it actually saved something bigger than just the URL. It saved the full JSON of the result. And I want to just save the URL. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to delete both these lines. I'm going to go to here. I'll add, instead of the body field here, I want to take from the output files, I want to take out1, and I want to take the storage URL, and I want to put it here. And you know what? Just for the sake of it, I want to also take the file ID, because this helps us locate the file later on in Rendi. I'm going to add here another column, which is the file ID column. I'm going to go back to my scenario. I didn't save. I'm going to save here. I'm going to save the full thing, and we're going to run this one last time. Run once again, and the full scenario is running. In the meantime, let's look again at that web content file. Maybe we should actually use the share link. Maybe it could be better for us. Let's see how it looks like on this thing. Share looks better. So seems like our command finished. Let's see here. The output body is success, 10 seconds processing. And let's see And we have here the storage URL of the output file saved and then the file ID. And if I open this URL, I can see the GIF generated. And now the last thing here is to see that it really works in live mode, not just when we're testing it out. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to change the configuration to run every minute. Run every minute. Activate the scenario. I want to always save and you always want to make sure you're saving everything, otherwise it could get deleted. I'm gonna again delete this. I'm gonna rename this just for the sake of it. We'll call it sample test, put it up in Drive, and it's uploading. And let's see what's happening here in the meantime. Press a refresh. So every minute this scenario will run to check if there is new files in our drive. And the upload finished, there is a new file. Now we need to wait for the scenario to run and show us. So there we go, the scenario now running. And we will expect, after it's finished in about 10 seconds from now, here we'll expect a new line to appear with the storage URL. So let's wait for it and see if it appears. There it is. It appeared. And we have, because it was the same video file, it'll be the same GIF output, so we have the output GIF. Another thing you can do with Rendi is actually handle that sleep time module. So we can sometimes put not enough sleep time. So we'll put 10 seconds, but the command will take 15, in which case we will miss its output, we will miss the storage URL and we won't have it. Or you could put too much. You can put 2 minutes, but the command will take 20 seconds, 30 seconds to run, in which case you waited for too long and you could have finished before. So in order to handle this type of case, we added a webhooks feature where when a FFmpeg command finishes running in Rendi, we notify a webhook endpoint, and that endpoint can then run the automation as required. So in order to do that, here in Rendi you have the configuration page where you can set up your webhook URL, and we're going to add a webhook endpoint in make and process resulting commands with it. So in order to do that, what we're going to do here is let's change the name of our original scenario to run FFmpeg command with Rendi. What we're going to do now is I'm going to go back here. We're going to duplicate this scenario. I'm going to first turn it off because we don't need it running all the time. We're going to clone this, and we're going to do webhook run FFmpeg command with Rendi. Save. Now here we won't require the Google Drive part. We can delete that. We don't need this also, and we don't need this. Delete, and we don't need this, and we actually also don't need this. We just needed the Google Sheet. Now what we do need is a webhook. Triggers when webhook receives data. So that's the one we need. We need to create a webhook. We don't need an API, my Rendi webhook. We don't need anything else. Save. And let's copy this. Let's go to Rendi. Press here on the edit button. Paste the API. Press somewhere outside to make it save. So webhook URL updated successfully, and now we can test the webhook and test successful. Let's see if something happened here. Nothing really. Let's do run once just to make sure. Module reference not existing. Yeah, because of this thing. We've deleted the previous modules so they don't exist. Let's make it a bit closer. We don't need them so far apart. Try again. Run once. And I'm going to go here and test webhook. Something happened. Nice. So this is a test. And we actually have here something in this test which is nice, and we can use that. So what we're going to do here is, to the storage URL, we're going to add again from the output files, output 1 in this case, and we're going to use, where is that storage URL? There we go. And in the second column, we want to add the file ID like before. Good. Save. And I'm going to save this module, save the scenario, and I'm going to turn it on. Save. Now, I want to run an FFmpeg command with Rendi, but without polling for the result, because I want the webhook to poll. So we're going to open another tab here. And we're going to duplicate our previous command again. And we train the webhook, duplicating that one. For this command, we don't need the ending parts, so we don't need this one, and we don't need this. Delete, and we don't need this. Now, after we will run the FFmpeg command and it will finish, then it will send a notification to this webhook, which is now running. So let's look at it like this, waiting for inbound traffic, and we will go to our listening folder, we'll delete this file. And we're going to go to here and we'll press run once. So this is running our command. And once the command is finalized, we should see it notifying our webhook and saving in the Google Sheet a third line here. Oh, it's already saved. And we see that it is actually finished. And it did it well. Nice. All the files you will generate with Rendi are stored indefinitely in Rendi's storage and CDN, content distribution network. So you can send it to all your users to put it. You can put it in your app and make it accessible to people. But it also means that you're using part of your storage quota. So every account on every plan in Rendi has a different quota of storage of how many files you can store. That quota is quite big, so you could store a lot of files. But still, sometimes we can store a lot that we don't really require. Now, it will catch us when we want to downgrade or to cancel a subscription. Then we've got to make sure that we're not storing too many files so that the subscription we're downgrading to is allowing the quota of the files stored. So in order to handle that, we have actually two endpoints in Rendi to list all the stored files and to delete the stored files. So I'll show you how to use both in order to list and delete files. We'll create a new scenario. Make an API call. And now you can always, by the way, like I'm doing, you can always go to the documentation of Rendi, to the API reference, and the two endpoints are here, list stored files and delete file. We'll start from the get HTTP request to list stored files, and this is just basically getting /v1/files, and let's add it here, /v1/files, save, and let's just run this to see that it works. Nice, it worked. In the body, we have the output files. Now, the next thing is to delete those files. So in order to do that, we have another endpoint with Rendi, another API call. At this time, instead of the list files, we want to delete files. So this is a delete HTTP request, and it handles, it accesses the endpoint v1 files / file ID. Now, let's do it here. Our endpoint is delete v1 files / the file ID, which comes from the body file ID. And because the body is an array, we want to say it's the first element in that array, and we want to add a slash before. Now, make is a bit tricky. It is adding a space where it's not required, and if we will try to run this module with that space, it will not work. It'll fail, saying that the endpoint doesn't exist. So make sure when you're working with make to delete unnecessary spaces. Also in the end here we had a space. The type is empty. We don't need it to send anything in this request. We don't even need this content type header here. We can delete and we can save. And let's run this one time end to end and see that it works. Now, just before we're running, I want to show you we're going to be deleting the first item here in this body, which is the file ID, which starts with an ID, which is CC62F. Pressing run once, and we need to expect to delete the CC62F. We have deleted it. The result is 204, which is successful. Just to make sure that right now, before we had 5 files stored, and now we will have 4 files stored because we deleted the first file. Let's press run this module, and in the body here we have 4 files stored. You can always check out Rendi's documentation for more guidelines and more things to help you out with your integration. So the documentation link is quite simple. It's docs.rendi.dev. Here you have the make integration explanation, so you can read through it. There's also the videos examples where this video is and others will be and are. And there's the API reference where you can find the different endpoints you can use. The ones that we used in this demo were the run FFmpeg command, which was under a specific module in make. We also used the poll FFmpeg command, and the list stored files and the delete files. If you have any other questions or requests or things you would like me to explain about or create another video about, please write them down in the comments below. I'm really checking them out and trying to make as much as possible to explain to people how to use Make, FFmpeg, Rendi, and also in general, if you have any question about video generation, about AI and automation, feel free to shoot down in the comments and I will create the explainers for it. Thanks for listening.